The Secrets of Technology is brought to you by the StarQuest Production Network and is made possible by our many generous patrons. If you'd like to support the podcast, please visit sqpn.com/give. You're listening to The Secrets of Technology. Hi, I'm Dom Bettinelli, and you're listening to The Secrets of Technology, where we discuss the technology news that's important to you from a uniquely Catholic point of view. And joining me today on the panel are Joanne Mercier. Hey, Joanne.
Warm greetings to you, Dom.
And Father Corey Stika. Hi, Father Corey.
Just life in sunny Montana where it got 100 over this week, so I get it. Yes. How's it going?
Very good, thanks. Yeah, Joanne, we finally got hit with the bug. We've had the best summer so far in Massachusetts that I can remember in a long time.
Yeah.
Where, temperatures haven't been too bad, and everyone else has been baking, and it's finally caught up to us. We're in the heat.
Good.
We are officially sweating here. Thank you.
Officially. So before we get started, I want to tell everyone about another show on the StarQuest Network you are sure to enjoy called The Secrets of Movies and TV Shows. You would definitely want to check that out wherever fine podcasts are found or at sqpn.com/secrets. We've had some awesome shows lately. We've talked about Close Encounters of the Third Kind with Jimmy Aiken. We've talked about Father Stu that we did here and the three of us and a bunch of other stuff. And we've got some great shows coming up. You don't want to miss it. If you remember the 80s sci-fi show, The Last Starfighter, the movie, yeah, we're going to talk about that soon. So definitely check out Secrets of Movies and TV Shows. It's a lot of fun. All right. Before we get into our usual content, I have one of my Dom's Tales of Woe.
Wah, wah.
What we need to have something you can play where it's Dom's Tales
Yes.
of Woe.
That would be good.
With wailing in the background. So this is a ding on Apple. Apple's a Find My failure, shall we say. So the other day I was looking for my AirPods Pro, and they come in a little case, and I'm always putting them down somewhere and forget where I put them. And I was looking everywhere, and so I said, okay, that's why we have Find My. So I open up the Find My app on my iPhone, go to look at it. The last time this phone has seen your AirPods Pro was last Tuesday at 6:30 a.m. And I'm like, what was I doing? Oh, I went for a walk, and just as I was going, my daughter ran out and said, can I go with you? I'm like, oh, sure. And so I put them took them out of my ears, and because I usually listen to podcasts when I'm walking, and I put the AirPods in my pocket, and I couldn't find them anywhere. And of course, I used to play the sound and do the location tracking, couldn't find it, nowhere to be found. So I waited, I looked for several days. I'm like, I can't, they're gone. I must have dropped them on my walk. Reached in my pocket and pulled something out of my pocket and dropped them or something, and that's long gone. So I need AirPods. I can't, I use them all the time. So I reluctantly ordered another set.
Mm-hmm.
It just as it shipped, what do you think I found? Within reaching distance of where I'm sitting right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I now have a brand new set of AirPods Pro sitting in a box unopened, on my desk here next to me, that I now have to take back to the Apple Store. I mean, granted, they have a very generous return policy, but it's a pain in the neck. The big problem is that Find My just doesn't work well enough. It really, especially with AirPods, it's useless if it needs to be opened and on to find it. What's the point then? So
Now, were they in the charging case, or were they just sitting, had just set them on? Okay, because I was going to say, if they had, obviously, if the batteries had run out on them because they were just sitting on the shelf.
Nope, fully charged.
That's not going to work. But
sitting in the case, it's fully charged. That. I mean, that's kind of the point. It's if the battery is still good, why can't you find it? Why can't you connect? I can connect to an AirTag.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but I think with the AirPods, it has to be on you and connected to something before it activates the "Where am I?"
Right, which is kind of pointless because if I've got them in my ear, I know where they are.
I'm kind of surprised they don't have that. The case doesn't have some way to ping, do the sound.
Right. So I'm wondering now, do I need to buy an AirTag and connect it to the case?
Which is like, well, that'd be Apple. You know, double your pleasure, double your money.
Well, this was the solution I had when I had the old AirPods that didn't have Find My installed. Is I got a case for it, like a rubberized case that had a D-ring, like a carabiner on it, you know, and connected a tile to it so that I could find the tile. The tile works fine like that. I mean, tile's not perfect either, but at least it will find things if they're not on, you know? So I'm hoping Find My gets better in the future, especially with the AirPods. So that's my tale of woe, and something to be aware of when you're trying to find your AirPods and whatnot. So the good news is I have my AirPods and I don't have to drop the money on new AirPods Pro unless Melanie decides that she wants them, and then in which case I'm probably going to be keeping them and paying for them.
There you go.
That's a whole nother
just take it back to the store before she realized you did.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's the whole nother thing is like she keeps stealing my lightning to headphone adapters because she keeps losing hers. And I don't really use them, but she keeps losing them. So I keep buying them. And because she has wired headphones, I'm like, maybe I should just get her the AirPods, but then she'll lose those. So then maybe not. Anyway, let's move on to talk about something that's of more interest to the rest of our audience, which is I kind of need to start with a little bit of a story. I got an email from a listener who was passing along an email that they had received from someone at their parish or a nearby parish. And they were concerned because of something that had just happened with a company that was providing services to them, technological services, email services. So the company's called CatholicWeb.org, and they've been around forever. And one of the things that they did was they kind of were selling services to parishes from the early days, selling websites, and they started offering free Google Workspace accounts because Google had these free accounts that they offered, but they were sort of repackaging them in their bundle to all of the parishes and ministries that were buying services from them. Well, recently, Google got rid of the free Google Workspace product for businesses. This was a business product, and it basically businesses could get a free Google Workspace. It used to be called Google Suite. If they had like only a few email accounts as opposed to many, that sort of thing. Right. And so these Google Workspace for free went away, and Catholic Web started telling all these parishes, you're going to have to set up new email accounts on your own. We can't offer this product anymore. We have no migration option. They basically were telling them, look, here's the bill that Google sent us. If we wanted to continue, it was a $10,000 bill. It would cost them $16,000 a month to continue because they had so many churches, under their umbrella. So that left all these parishes and church, ministries in a bind because they have there's no way to migrate. They have to set everything up from scratch and brand new. And so, this is the person who emailed me said, what do the parishes do? So that's what I kind of wanted to talk about is what is the best way for parishes and ministries to get set up with basic infrastructure like this, including email and, Google Workspace like features and websites and that sort of thing. So just to start off, I just ask both of you, what do you use for your parishes for these services?
So before we go into that, I want to talk. I'm going to play Google apologist a little bit, only because I was actually affected by this. I was not the Catholic Web, but the transition from G Suite Legacy, they called it, to Google Workspace, because I had set up fathercorey.org, frcorey.org. That's a website where I host all my homilies, and I post other things there once in a while. I had Google email. I used Gmail, fathercorey at fathercorey.org, stuff like that. And I had the legacy for a long time, for over a decade, before they made the long before they made the transition. And when they first announced Google, what they now call Google Workspace, when they changed it to G Suite, it used to be just Google Docs. That's what we all knew it as, Gmail and Google Docs. And they made it all G Suite. And they kept this free tier, this legacy tier, but then other tiers were paid. And I knew, again, a decade ago when they did this, Google at some point is going to charge for this. There is no way they're going to leave this free forever. They said they would, but this is Google. This is a big business. Apple says they'll keep things for free. They start charging. Facebook, Microsoft, all these companies, eventually they're going to start charging. So now you flash forward to earlier this year and Google starts sending out these emails about that and that it's changing over. And I ended up changing over to the Google Workspace because it has a couple of features that I do use or did use. Now I've changed my email. That's another story. But so this wasn't a big surprise that it was going to come eventually. And then Catholic Web was kind of skirting the rules with Google because they were basically repackaging something that Google was giving for free.
Yes.
You know, and so they should have had an idea in their mind that at some point they're going to have to change this.
Right.
So, I mean, that's and not to say I'm happy with what Google did, but this is one of these cases where, to be fair, Google was absolutely in its right to do this, you know. So now that I've done that, now to go to the question you asked, you know, about, you know, what should parishes do? And I do think things like this Google Workspace is an option for smaller parishes because it is not just email, it's all the Google Docs, it's the chat, it's Google Meet. It's a lot of features that small parishes could use for, you know, $6 a person is the starting. Right. At least that's what my account is.
Or nothing, but we'll get to that in a few minutes. There is a way to do this for free, but right. But we can get to that. Is that what you're using for your parishes? Is
right now my parishes is in like the 1980s. That's right. Not even. Now I had used up in my previous parish. I'd actually used Office 365 from Microsoft, which is of course is a competing product. At least when I was looking at it, it's a little more expensive. I can't remember what it was, but it's a little more expensive. But that also gives you all the Office 365 desktop apps. Word, Excel, PowerPoint, et cetera, et cetera. I think it was $15 a month. I can't remember for sure. But that's what I used for the email, not the website. Website was separate. You know, some of these services you can use web. They have web services as well, but I use that separately at that because that was been there when I arrived.
Right. How about you, Joanne? What do your parishes use?
We are using Google Workspace for nonprofits, and it is free.
Okay.
We're still on the free plan. Now, I was using G Suite in the previous collaborative, and when I switched collaboratives, they had already gone through this Google Workspace transition. So when I came on board, even though I'm an admin, they said, no, we still have a free plan. So we are enjoying all of the things like Forms and Classroom and Meet and all of that for free, which is good for us, especially for emails, because this way we can have certain emails for certain things, such as all of our staff have their own email account at our cntaunton.org.
Right.
But we can also do things like, you know, Faith Formation has their own, RCIA has their own. Media has its own, because with each one of those comes 30 gig of cloud space. It's not, you know, and that to us is important when we're trying to, you know, with YouTube and having YouTube accounts and all of that. So everything goes through the Google Workspace. And for us, believe me, it saves us money.
Oh, yeah.
It keeps things together. Yet there are other things that we still have to. It's not the be all and end all, but it helps. Do any of us use Google Docs? No. We're all still using Microsoft Office in some way, shape, or form. And I know my pastor has licenses for those in the office. I have my own. But we do use Meet on a regular basis. We do use the calendars, especially, because that's so important. We can embed those calendars on our website, which is hosted by someone else. But we can embed them and change them and let them be live, especially with Faith Formation. I keep telling, there's a big disclaimer on it that says, this calendar changes, so please keep coming back to look at it.
Right. Or subscribe.
Yeah, well, that's just it. Look, some of my folks wouldn't know how to do that.
I know, but yeah,
we still have to give them a printed copy.
Right.
But at least here's the link. Go there, and if your calendar in your hand does not match what's on that link on that website, change it quickly.
Right. The
website,
that's
the one that's
the
correct.
website is canonical.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes, it is, very much so. They're very good.
Yeah.
But no. So I think parishes, if they want to have especially email for everybody that they can, that's pretty well controlled. Now, the only thing I haven't found yet, because I had it come up 2 days ago, was of course another one of those phishing emails. Hi, I'm going into a meeting. Can you get me? Don't call. Can you get me by email? And it was a spoof of my pastor's.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it looked like my pastor's name. And I said, sure you are. And I clicked it and it was some crazy, address. So when I went to go block it, I can't find the blocking anymore. So I don't know if they've taken that away from us as admins and it's directly by user or what.
So you mean from the Google admin page?
Yeah, I was able to do that before. I was able to list the emails that I could say, no, bounce
Block
these
this.
back, do something, find it. I can't seem to find that.
Okay.
I assume it's still there. It's still there.
It's
just moved.
I just can't find it.
Yeah, that's the problem. So I just want to kind of backtrack a little bit and mention a few things that follow the thread on a couple of things that got mentioned. So Microsoft Office, like you mentioned, Father Corey, also offers a lot of the same functionality, including email, Outlook. They have an online Outlook server, Exchange server. They also have a nonprofit program, so that you can qualify for. Now, for both Google nonprofits and Microsoft nonprofit, schools do not qualify as nonprofits under that. They do have education plans, so those are separate. But parishes should qualify. However, parishes are under, as anyone who works in a parish knows, are under the blanket exemption given by the IRS to the USCCB. This is America specific, and both Google and Microsoft give you all kinds of information for all the countries they work in and nonprofit status in those countries. But for American listeners, your parish is under a blanket exemption. But for Google specifically, I'm not sure if it's the same with Microsoft, you still have to get approved as a nonprofit separately through Google's process, which is fine.
Well, and with parishes, because of the blanket exemption, it can cause some jumps or some hoops you need to jump through.
Yeah.
It can be a pain because you go to the IRS's lookup table, which is what Google's going to do for nonprofits. Most parishes don't show up because it's under that blanket exemption.
Yeah.
So that gets to be difficult to prove your nonprofit status sometimes.
Right. And they acknowledge that, and that's why they have this separate process or this additional step you have to go through to prove your nonprofit status as a parish. And frankly, dioceses should already be helping their parishes do this. I mean, this should be a function of the diocese. If the diocese is not already providing email and other online infrastructure for their parishes, they should be.
Try to get that argument done. Good luck.
They should at least be helping parishes figure this stuff out, or in helping them to get through this, because most parishes don't have people there who are able to navigate a lot of this stuff unless it's a volunteer who steps forward, and volunteers move. They, you know what I mean? So dioceses really need to be helping their parishes. And I say this because I used to be the guy at the Archdiocese of Boston helping parishes navigate this. So it's not impossible to go through Google Workspace for nonprofits, and not just parishes. If you have run any kind of independent ministry or apostolate, if you run any kind of 501c3 nonprofit, you might qualify for this. There's a few other exemptions that don't qualify, but in general, you probably do qualify.
I was going to say, I think churches do qualify, but I wonder about things like apologetics organizations and stuff like that. Like Catholic Answers, for example. Yeah.
Or us. I mean, we actually qualify as a 501c3. Right. We have we're a nonprofit, as StarQuest is. And so we do qualify. So yes, I mean, we have a mission, and some organizations are more stringent about weeding out like certain missions, and this is non-discrimination clauses. And so that can cause some problems. Like, for example, Airtable is a product that I use also in our work here at StarQuest, and they offer a nonprofit discount. except they disqualify all religious organizations.
Yep.
So
and that's what I'm referring to. I've looked into, like, you can get grants for nonprofits for things like Adobe software, for example. That's the one I tried to go for, and it explicitly says in there, churches need not apply in not so many words, but churches, any religious organization need not apply.
Yeah.
Why? Because we'd all do it, and then they wouldn't have their extra billions in profit.
No, because
it's about our beliefs.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
Because we might use their software to push our religion, but we can pay them to use their software to push our religion. Right.
And that's it's their business. They can do what they want, I suppose.
I guess.
But the fact is they also carve out, like, some carve out labor organizations, others carve out anything having to do with politics. So, it's just a matter of they've just made a decision, and from their business perspective, on what they're going to do. But there are plenty that still allow religious organizations, and Google and Microsoft both do. So that's going to be good in this case. And it's, when you do this, you'll want to register a domain name that will be you're going to need a domain name that fits with your parish. Say we're talking about parishes. You should already have one. And when you register the domain name, register it in the name of the parish, with an email that belongs to the parish, with a password at the registrar that belongs to the parish. I had parishes come to me saying, a volunteer, registered our parish domain name 10 years ago. We have no idea where he is now or how to contact him. We need to move our domain name to this other place. And it's like, sorry. Like, there's nothing we can do. Like, the guy is gone, and the domain registrar doesn't care. You're going to have to change your domain.
And that's what happened here. Is a previous pastor, administrator, whatever title, a previous priest had created a domain for these parishes, and he left. And I'm in contact with him. He's a friend of mine, but he doesn't remember what the username and password was. Right. He doesn't remember what. I think he remembered it was GoDaddy is what they had registered on, which that's another story. Yeah. But I'm not a fan of GoDaddy just because they're
me neither.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're morally corrupt. But anyways, and he said, "Oh, I left it there. I'm sure there's a sticky note in a folder somewhere." And of course, by now it doesn't matter because it's expired.
Yeah.
So I'm, up the creek with the proverbial creek without the proverbial paddle on that one.
Right.
Because if I had come and that information was there available to me, I could have quickly changed it over. I could have got things set up so it wasn't an issue and not a problem. But like you said, somebody sets it up and then they leave and don't remember what they had set it to because, I'm done with this now.
Right.
Or they don't have a password manager that they can just kind of get their information from and pass it along.
Right.
Exactly.
Which is why every parish, of a certain size, not every single parish, I suppose, but parishes should have a password manager and perhaps use a team-based password manager so that passwords get saved centrally, not written down or saved in a Word doc on a computer somewhere, but saved in a vault of some sort, an electronic vault of some sort, so that there's a legacy, there's an institutional memory for these things. That's a really important thing. Parishes are terrible about technological institutional memory for things and need to get better at it, or you're going to be consistently forever struggling to get to keep up and you're going to waste a lot of time doing these things, all time and money.
But they don't see the need for it, which is really sad. Now, within the past maybe 7 years, I've been in 3 different collaboratives, and every time I have left them all the information they need to move on, or I've moved it for them. So here's your clean slate, go for it. And even the products, I want to use the term products, that we produce in parishes, that's all the intellectual property of the parishes. It's not our own stuff.
Right.
So I always leave up in the cloud somewhere the originals. I may take some copies from me because, of course, I can retrofit these anywhere I go, but the parishes or collaboratives have all the work I've done for them.
Yeah.
Right.
Same here.
You know?
Here. Yeah.
And that's one advantage these things, going kind of back to our topic, these things like Google Workspace, Office 365, they're so great at is you can have shared folders among your parish that you can say, okay, anything, when you leave, load, basically copy your folder, anything that you need to leave behind for the parish into the shared folder.
Or it's already
and it's there
in a folder that's controlled by the parish. So the whoever is the Google administrator, the Google Workspace administrator can move. Especially if someone's leaving involuntarily, sometimes but that's a big thing. Like there could be folders in a shared place of all of the bulletins and all the flyers and all of the minutes of meetings and all that sort of stuff in a shared place where everyone has access to it, so that no matter what, and to your point, Joanne, like nobody cares, nobody sees the need. I think time takes care of that eventually. There will be a generation of priests coming up who grew up using Google services. Hopefully. But I don't think we want to wait that long. I mean, we need to really start moving these things and getting a little bit more organized. And partly because we don't have the luxury of lots of people working in a parish, that we can make up for it with volume of employees. As parish budgets get smaller and parish staffs get smaller, these sorts of things are multipliers. They let you continue to do things more efficiently. And that's another reason to think about it.
Yeah. And especially in smaller parishes where you might only have a couple of staff, or in my case, I am the only paid staff, but I'm in an extremely rural situation. So that's very different than most people will have. Or even with volunteers, there are going to be times when you're going to need volunteers to have access to this kind of material and things like that, and I will say that you're going to get priests who understand this stuff by basically forcing the priest to understand this stuff. I mean, let's be honest, and I hate to say it about my brother priest, but sometimes we just need lay people to grab us by the hand and say, Father, here's how you do this. You need to do this. I know you don't want to, but this is your job now, whether you like it or not.
I've been lucky that the last two that I've had as pastors are already savvy. So these things have already been set up. But unfortunately, it's the support staff and a lot of times also the faith formation staff that have no idea how to do these things. And, and are older and don't want to at this point because they're all looking at retirement. So...
but the other thing that I experienced is people can learn. And I mean, I had a 90-year-old woman that I taught how to use Slack in a parish. It's possible to get people can learn. They are often willing to learn. And I think sometimes bishops need to, the office of the bishop or the authority of the bishop needs to be used to tell pastors, you need to get this done. Like you just need to make this a priority to fix this sort of thing.
And that's hard in dioceses because, parishes have some autonomy from the diocese. It's such a weird situation as we're attached to the diocese. We're a part of the diocese, but we're autonomous from the diocese. Yeah. And trying, because that was, I pushed for that for about 10 years ago to get joint website for the diocese and all parishes and email, diocesan email, diocesegreatfallsbillings.org, email addresses for each priest. And the priests were like, no, you're not going to do this to us. It's like, dude, seriously? This makes our job easier.
Right. Well, it's because...
Why are you fighting this? You guys are... I can't use the words I was thinking about them at that moment. But it's just like, this would make our job so much easier if you had one email address that you knew everything from the diocese was going to. You had one email address you could give out publicly for your ministry, where you don't have to worry about, I have to create a private email address, or every time I go to a different parish, I get a different email address. Yeah. This would just make our life so much easier. Maybe I need to push this again at the diocese. Right. Okay, this is a point where you as the diocese need to say, too bad. This is it.
Or just create it and say, here it is. Just present it.
But some of them still want to use, Padre Jedi 274.com, gmail.com, and they don't want to change their email.
Right. And no one says they have to get rid of their personal email, but, all of your official correspondence is coming to this one.
Yeah.
And we'll show you how to forward or whatever you need to do.
Yeah, they drag their feet on it. I've seen it.
Yeah.
So I understand your pain, Father Corey. I've seen it.
Well, and for me, it's extremely frustrating because I've got right now 3 email addresses the diocese sends to, and sometimes multiple times where I'll get my old Gmail account I've had since the beginning of Gmail. I'll get something from the diocese there. I'll get it from my fathercorey.org email. I'll get it from an old parish email that I need to get rid of. And it's just like, pick one. This one right here.
And that's the thing is for the diocese to keep track of these things. So I think that would be great. And like in Boston, they set up sort of stub websites. So even for parishes that couldn't be bothered to build their own website in the 21st century, they've created a basic website on bostoncatholic.org for every parish that has information about the address, the mass times, the staff and contact information. So at least it's online somewhere, and that sort of thing. So diocese can do a lot in this area too. All right, so I want to cap off our conversation about this here for now. We could definitely come back to this, and I would love to hear from listeners who have questions or have advice or information in this area. We'd love to hear from you, or your tale of woe.
Yeah,
we'll take
there's
tales
a
of
lot
woe.
more. There's a lot more rant about all this, so we can lock and load.
Right. So before we move on, I want to take a moment to thank our patrons who make it possible for us to create the Secrets of Technology, including Jonah M, Jocelyn T, Jonathan L, Father Paul H, and Sydney O. Their generous donations at sqpn.com/give make it possible for us to continue the Secrets of Technology and all the shows at StarQuest. And you can join them by visiting sqpn.com/give. And remember, we are a nonprofit, so we depend entirely on your generosity. So let's move to our headlines. Our first headline, this is an interesting one. They're always interesting. That's why I picked them. But this one, if you remember, years ago, Facebook bought Oculus, the VR headset maker. And one of the things that a lot of Oculus owners didn't like was that Facebook made them all use Facebook accounts to sign into Oculus, whether it's the Quest or whatever. But now that Facebook is Meta, they have decided to change that requirement. You will no longer need to sign in using a Facebook account. You will no longer need a Facebook account to use your Oculus headset. What you'll need is a Meta account. And the thing is it's 6 of one, half dozen the other. You're still giving Meta/Facebook all the same information you had before. But there are some benefits to doing this as well. But first, what do you think of this? I don't think either of you have a VR headset. That would be Pat is our VR headset person. But the idea of Facebook making you do this and then lifting the requirement and that sort of stuff. What did you think of this?
All I can say is to quote the band The Who: "Meet the new boss, same as the old boss." Mark my word. Within 5 years, your Facebook, your Instagram, and maybe I might even be like optimistic at 5 years. Within 2 or 3 years, all those will have to be rolled into a Meta account.
It will all be one.
This is actually them moving towards you have one. I mean, they already have it where you use your Facebook account for your Instagram.
Yeah.
And some of the other services, I don't even remember what all they have anymore, but it's like, no, they're just going to move to the Meta account and you won't log into Facebook using your Facebook account. You'll log in using your Meta account and Instagram and all these other things. This is just the first step towards that. This is changing nothing.
Right.
I totally agree. I'm already using, I use Facebook and I have a page that belongs to work, that belongs to our collaborative, and they've changed that to Meta Business Suite, which drives me absolutely buggy.
Oh, it's a terrible software.
It's horrible. I mean, it was bad enough trying to control your page. Now it's you have to actually physically leave Facebook and go into the Meta Business Suite. So okay, fine. So there's 2 right there. They own Instagram. They own WhatsApp. I'm waiting for WhatsApp to connect to something else. So it's like, okay.
Well, Facebook Messenger will probably become WhatsApp. That's
I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah. So you're right, Father Corey. At some point, this is all just going to be one big Meta universe, and
A meta ball of whatever.
Bag of hurt. It's a meta bag of hurt.
A meta bag of hurt. Yeah, that's a good. Maybe we have a show title. So
it is a show title.
one good thing here that looks like it's coming with is that you'll be able to have multiple accounts in one headset, which will be good because I have a headset and I use it. My kids each want to use it, and my wife doesn't really use it, but she might if she wants to talk to her mom, visit with her mom and her brother and stuff. But the fact is when they go on, it's my account, it's my Facebook account that they're using, which I feel a little, especially when the kids are on there, I feel a little leery of. So what you'll be able to do is set up multiple different shared, like different profiles, different meta accounts for each user, and you'll switch between them. So there's that. So that's one benefit.
Basically, Facebook is getting ready, or Meta is getting ready to be the next Google, where everything is wrapped under one login, which, I mean, that's a nice feature. It really is if you use these services. Yeah. But that being said, don't think that you're getting anything, anything's changing here at all. It's not. Right.
It's the metaverse that's coming. That's what they're preparing for. So our next headline is also Google related, so sort of a Google theme today. But this one was interesting because it's ADT is betting Google can drag it into the future. That was the headline. This is a Bloomberg article, and it basically talks about a few years ago, Google bought a stake in ADT. ADT is the century-old security company. They make the home security, and business security systems and all that sort of stuff. And they're so old. The ADT stands for American Distributed Telegraph Company. So you can tell how old it is. But what happens is Google kind of bought a share of it, and now ADT is selling a lot of the Google smart home stuff, especially the security smart home stuff, and doing the install. And it's kind of interesting because it's the same equipment, the Google Nest, the Google Home, the Google, the cameras and all that sort of stuff. But the advantage is they install it. So they send their installers out and they install it in your home and wire it all up and make sure it all works. And they offer a monitoring service. So, as it is now with a lot of these home security systems, whether it's Amazon or Google or what have you, is you have to monitor it from your phone. And if you're not near your phone or you're not paying attention or whatever, the alerts do nothing for you. So they offer a monitoring service for a monthly fee, of course. And, ADT obviously gets that benefit. Google gets the benefit of selling their equipment, and ADT is trying to improve their reputation because, as the article that I'll link to says, for a long time, people were saying you'll get all the benefit of ADT and almost none of the cost if you just buy a bunch of ADT lawn signs off of eBay and stick them in your yard because ADT is unreliable. And that's what they're trying to change, that reputation. What do y'all think of this, though?
Okay, I actually saw a commercial for this watching the All-Star game, the MLB All-Star game yesterday. Where they're advertising this, whereas you get you got the Nest Home and you got the Nest doorbell, and then you get the ADT controller, which connects to Google Home. So this is all so then you can monitor your system from home, from your phone and everything like that. And I think that's frankly a logical step with a lot of this smart home stuff. I can see Apple trying to figure out some way to do that, Amazon trying to figure out some way to do it as well. Google just actually got ahead of the game on this because there are already ways with some of this equipment where it will have, can recognize glass shattering. Someone breaks into your house and it can send an alert, stuff like that. Cameras that, of course, motion detection on all the Ring doorbells and things like that. So this is I think this is a logical way, especially if ADT gets better about actually responding to alerts and things like that.
Yes.
And that's the big question mark is, are they making the investments in people, in equipment, in the back end at their facilities that when there is an alert to then, contact the owner on their smartphone and say, was this you? Yes or no?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. See, our house 25 years ago came with an alarm system, and it's not a national one. It's an in-town one. And I came a little late to the home automation stuff. So everything I have is almost a patchwork. I've got Wemos, I've got Wise Cams, I've got, HomePod, the A-Lady, and the whole 9 yards. Would I like to have one place monitoring all that? Yeah. I think so, because at this point, the only time, my alarm system kicks in is if somebody tries to get in or if the smoke, if the smoke detectors go off, although two very important things. But yeah, I think I might like somebody else to do that, because you can go crazy between Ring Video Doorbell and Wise Cams and all that, trying to monitor all these things yourself. Plus, something like Simply Safe, they package it as, here's everything in a box, go out and put it in your house. Half the people don't know what to do with this stuff. They don't know where should go, what should go where, and do I need more of these? And then how do you... So, yeah, this is intriguing, because I would love to see one company just kind of do the monitoring. Now, if Apple wants to take over, fine. I'll give them more of my money and they can do all of that.
Yeah.
But if my company or ADT or whatever wants to do this kind of thing, have at it.
Well, and for somebody like me who's already invested in the Google Home infrastructure, I already have the Google Home equipment, the Nest doorbell and stuff like that. This just would plug right in theory, and you mentioned like the smoke detectors. That's another thing,
Yes.
if the ADT smoke detectors also did that, where it plugged into your Google Home setup. I mean, again, it's everything you need. It's all in one place on your phone. It's all an easy infrastructure to plug into, and life goes,
and carbon monoxide. I have the Nest Dual, the smoke and carbon monoxide.
Yeah, I'm like you, Joanne. I have a hodgepodge. I have Philips Hue bulbs. I have Google Nest smoke detectors. I've got Ring doorbell and cameras. I got Wise Cams inside. I got every brand. I got Yale door lock. I get it all, and I've kind of cobbled together like using Homebridge, which we should really probably do an episode on Homebridge if we haven't done it already. Ooh. We might have talked about it before, I think, but it bears talking about more. But yeah, I've cobbled together some of that, but yeah, it doesn't all just seamlessly work together. And it would be nice if I were to start from scratch today. I might spend $600 on the basic ADT Google system and get the cameras and the doorbell and the the various Nest products and that sort of stuff. I mean, they have a bundle that you can get. It's fairly cheap.
Yeah.
I don't really love the $28 a month, but I'm actually paying Ring a monthly fee, which is Amazon, a monthly fee to store video in the cloud, which I don't love. So, maybe that would be worthwhile. So I'd have to maybe even look at it. Maybe. Yeah. I also don't love climbing on a ladder every month or so to change the batteries in the Ring cameras. That's annoying.
Yeah, see, we're looking at outside cameras now, and I'm looking at the solar because
oh, there you go.
Don't want the husband up on a ladder.
I had a solar panel on a Ring camera, I'll tell you, a little while ago, and I've since replaced that camera because it died. But the problem is that it wasn't a great location for the panel. It wasn't getting full sun. In the summer, it kept the batteries charged, no problem. In the winter, the batteries it could not keep up. It wasn't enough sunlight in Massachusetts in the winter. So I think maybe if I had a better location for the panel, if it wasn't where it was, it maybe could have done better. But just something to keep in mind with even just the solar. I'd love to get wired cameras and not have to deal with that at all. But something to think about. All right, so let's move on to our third story, our third headline. And this is very interesting. So the headline is Amazon executives have discussed ditching Amazon Basics to appease regulators. Now, Amazon Basics, for anyone who's been shopping at Amazon, had noticed that Amazon sells a lot of private label stuff, batteries or, various basic goods, the basic, you can buy an Amazon Basics paper shredder, that sort of staplers, very
cables.
Yeah. Cables is a big one. Any like technology stuff like that. And they also have a couple other brands. They have like Amazon Essentials for some clothing. They also have some other things like paper goods called Presto, a food brand called Happy Belly, etc. Now, This is
I love that name.
I know, Happy Belly.
What? I have not heard of that before.
Yeah. They have several others too, and they've gotten a little bit in trouble. Regulators in various places, with the EU and in Washington, who kind of not happy with if it feels a little bit like they're using monopolistic power to edge out other brands. And there's been complaints from other brands who said, I went to sell my product on Amazon, and then not long later, an Amazon Basics version of the same thing came out that they've created, and they're competing with me. So there's some complaints like that. And so there's been some talk among Amazon executives, apparently, according to this article, of just ditching the whole business, the private label business, and just sticking with the brands that want to sell on Amazon. What do you think of this? Is this, Amazon Basics tends to be cheaper, which is kind of the appeal. But I always feel a little awkward buying it because I feel like I'm just making Amazon bigger and putting other companies out of business, What do you think?
Yeah. See, I'm a brand gal. So all of my life, I have stuck with brands. And of course, various people in my life have questioned that thinking. But somehow, to me, brands are always just a little better than the basics. And from whether it's food, cans, cables, whatever, I tend to move in that direction. So I haven't bought many of these, which is why I never heard that Happy Belly type thing. I've never seen it. But I hate to say it, just from a morning trip this morning to the grocery store to buy Stain Stick and not finding it, yet I can buy it on Amazon, brand, of course, the Stain Stick, in a 3-pack. Amazon is a behemoth as it is. Okay, so they really shouldn't be competing for all the toys.
Right. I think, that's what they're feeling is like they've grown so big, they're so successful, they've done so well at what they do, that they've almost gotten too big, and people are starting to worry about them, and so they worry about people worrying about them, and they need to find some way to make a concession. What do you think, Father Corey?
See, I'm now, admittedly, I'm kind of almost the opposite of Joanne, at least as far as like shopping at the store. I'm cheap, and because I don't want the parish to have to spend more money than it has to for my food. And of course, as you all know, and everybody listening knows, food is not getting cheaper right now. It's getting more expensive. No. So you open up my cabinet, you'll see a lot of our store brand for our little grocery store over here, for canned foods and stuff like that. Yeah, there are things that occasionally the store brand, some cereals, I think the store brand isn't quite as good. But beyond that, can of green beans from the store brand tastes about the same to me as Del Monte green beans. So, sure. But that's kind of how I look at Amazon Basics. There's a lot of that kind of stuff. It's, their batteries. Their batteries are probably the same batteries that I can buy here in the store brand at our little grocery store. It's the same exact ones made by the same people. Who knows? But my problem with Amazon is they're pretty free to swap between name brand and non-name brand. And that's where I have issues with Amazon, with things like Amazon Basics. A few years ago, I bought a wireless controller for a wireless USB controller receiver for Xbox 360. So I could use my Xbox 360 controller on my PC. I specifically ordered the Microsoft branded Xbox 360 controller or receiver and got generic name, no name. I mean, it has no name. It just literally says on it Xbox 360 receiver. There's no Microsoft logo. There's nothing.
Right.
And that's where issues like Amazon Basics becomes a problem.
Was it
they're willing
Amazon Basics controller? Like, was it labeled Amazon?
It didn't even have an Amazon Basics logo on it. It had no logo on it whatsoever.
That might be another issue that Amazon has, which is that people like these companies often in somewhere in Asia are selling cheap knockoffs, but putting their listings on Amazon as the brand name. And I've run into that myself several times.
Well, and this was, I remember in this particular case, the reason I was so annoyed, I purposely ordered, from Amazon. This was not from 123 Company Incorporated.
Well, that's
this
right.
was,
These are coming from Amazon's warehouses. Like Amazon's not doing due diligence to weed these out.
Yeah, but it's I've seen that happen too with Amazon Basics, where order a USB cable and you get the Amazon Basics version, not the Belkin version. Let's say,
Interesting.
So, and that's just like, no, I ordered a specific thing because I had a specific need, and you didn't send it to me.
Right. Well, that's where I would ask for a return, quote unquote, which usually means they just send you a new one. But even then, you're not sure they'll just do it again.
The same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then that's where I have an issue. Amazon having a store brand, whatever.
Yeah.
But when they use that, to force other people out of the market or to move in on markets, like you mentioned, Joanne, where, somebody, all of a sudden, or Dom, whoever, about where they had this product and all of a sudden now there's a knockoff version of that product on Amazon that wasn't there before.
Right. That's the thing that bugs me. And especially if in your case, I'm buying the Belkin product, which is more expensive, and I get the cheaper Amazon Basics one. That I'm not so happy with. That's bait and switch, and that's actually illegal.
Yes.
But I'm of two minds. Like, I like saving money. Who doesn't? But I don't love Amazon just getting bigger and bigger and bigger and sucking up all of this retail space from everywhere. And so I've been consciously trying to buy things from more companies. Like, frankly, when Walmart is the underdog, things have changed. And, sometimes I'll buy something from Walmart or Target or whatever online.
Yeah.
Because frankly, supply chain issues being what they are, you often, like you said, can't find the thing you want in the stores. So,
yeah, that's a big problem. I've been, for 2.5 years now, I've had to buy Benefiber, and on Amazon, they're the only ones carrying it.
Right.
You cannot find the containers. You can find the little packages in the stores, but you can't find the big containers. And I read somewhere that it was a plastics issue.
Yep. And a big company like Amazon can stock enough of it, can get enough of it out of the supply chain that they can sell it. Yeah, that's where we are with things. All right, so those are our headlines. Let's move on to our picks of the week. And Joanne, I'll let you go first. What is your pick this week?
Well, you were talking about your AirPods, and as much as I like Apple AirPods, I've always had a problem with them falling out of my ears at the most inappropriate time, probably because I wear earrings. So if I have earrings in and I have the AirPods in, things get dicey, to say it the least. Masks are also a problem.
Right.
But I've always liked the over-the-ear, headphones. I was always
clip-ons,
yeah, I was more like that. So my neighbor had a pair of the Powerbeats Pro wireless earphones. And I looked at them and I kind of hemmed and hawed a little bit, but I finally broke down and bought a pair. And I'll tell you, these things don't fall out.
Right.
These things, and from a technology point of view, they run a little bit better than the AirPods for some reason. They connect easier. They connect to everything. That's a little annoying, because they'll connect to 3 devices at once.
Yep.
They actually, for people like me, have the rocker so that you can figure out which one is lower, which one is upper, instead of tapping so many times in your head. People think you're a dog scratching its ear. The sound is very comparable. I can't tell the difference in sound at this point, but I don't have pros though. I've only had regular AirPods, so I don't know about the pros, but these Powerbeats have a really nice sound. The only thing I wish they were, and I think Beats probably makes ones, noise canceling, because they do have different tips. They come with 4 different size tips for your ears, and certain ones will almost get all the noise canceling, but some of them doesn't matter. But there's something for everybody. I just happen to like them a lot, and the case is a lot bigger. I lose that little case.
Yep.
I had to put silicone shield on it so I could find it in a pocketbook. This case is a little bit bigger and can be a little bit clunkier, but overall, if you're looking for something that's higher, a high quality sound, but a lower price than than the AirPod Pro. These would fit your bill, especially if you're a jogger, especially if you do a lot of things outside, even gardening and stuff like that. They run at $199, and they come in colors if you're into that. Of course, I got navy, right. But because after a while, I'm an Apple person, but after a while, when they like put a color in front of you, it's like a carrot. It's like, ooh, I want that shiny. That's a color instead of just black, white, or silver.
Yep.
So I really would, if you're looking for an alternative, these are a wonderful alternative, and they work with every Apple product there is. I do have a tip, however, folks, for those of you who have M1 Max or M2s at this point. Mm-hmm. If you are trying to run a copy of Windows on Parallels, you can do that. It's not a real official copy of Windows. You can't register it. It's considered a beta copy, and you'll always have that little watermark that says, activate your Windows now. And I'm saying this for a couple of reasons. For one reason, my husband is a tax accountant, and he has specific proprietary software that runs only on Windows, will not run on Mac. He's been a Mac user for years and running Parallels. And when he went to put this on his new Mac, it would not run properly. He could see everything, but he couldn't alter anything, couldn't write to it. So he finally got the company, and they tried to walk him through it. And at one point they said, "Are you running this on an M1 Mac?" And he said, "Yes." And they said, "Oh, it doesn't work. You need a Windows machine." And this is all the lovely Qualcomm, Intel, Microsoft, not merger, but the agreement that they have that's supposed to be running out shortly, but hasn't yet. So until that does, folks, and my husband is, crying crocodile tears because he has to buy a Windows machine now in order to run this, but save yourself time, because we bought two Mac M1s and had to send them back because we could not activate this thing properly. Oh, so there's my bag of hurt and tale of whoa for the week.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, that's the one area where the new Mac app, the Apple Silicon is just not there yet. Is that support for Intel-based software? It's Linux and Windows just are not running properly yet on the Silicon.
And this was a proprietary piece of software too, so the company is going, we've got a choice. We can either try to figure out, get some M1 Max, try to figure out what the problem is, because I'm sure it's just a bug in the software that they can fix, or we just say, those of you that have M1 Max, tough luck. Well, and which is the easier job.
Right. And again, business people, when it comes to technology, sometimes they don't see the forest for the trees.
Right.
Whereas you want your software to run on as many machines as possible. But if you limit them to Windows machines, you're cutting out a whole group of people.
There are a lot of people who don't realize how many Macs are now used in business environments, and they still think everything is Windows, and it's it's not. The number one PC shipments over the past year and growing is Apple. Apple is eating up more and more of the market. It's still not as ubiquitous as Windows machines, but
right.
There are a lot of them out there, and you're cutting off a lot of your business by being so proprietary about it.
My husband has had a Mac for 15 years, and now now I've suggested that he get an Alienware, so he has the same amount of power as the Mac for all his open windows, but it's just going to be in a very interesting box that has an alien figure on it. I told him we'll get him a cover for it.
Glow green.
No, purple. This one's purple.
Oh, purple. Nice.
There you go. Even better.
Excellent. Well, thank you for both the pick and the tip. Father Corey, what do you have for a pick this week?
So for those of us in the Northern Hemisphere, it is very much summer, as we talked about early beginning of this podcast. It's hot. And of course, with heat comes thunderstorms, which some of us really, really love watching, but our systems don't. And so it's good to be aware of what lightning's coming towards you. And there is a website called Blitzortung. Of course, it's a German word in the very poetic German, how poetic the German language is. Blitzortung translates into lightning detector.
Right.
Which is literally what this website is. It is a lightning map. Now, you've probably seen that like on Weather Channel and other things where they can show you where lightning strikes are happening. Well, this Blitzortung project, this lightning, I'm just going to call it lightning detector because every person who speaks German is cringing as they hear me try to say it. This lightning detector project is basically an open source lightning detector. And basically people volunteer to spend, I think it's £300 is what it says for the original box, plus whatever it costs for your antenna. And they're throughout the world. There's thousands of these people who have set up these detectors, and they listen at specific frequencies. It's they describe it all on the website. There's a very lengthy description on the website of PDF you can read that talks in detail. But basically, it's listening in certain frequencies, low frequencies, for the radio pulses that lightning puts off. If you remember listening to old AM radio and you'd hear the crackle when lightning would fire, that's what they're listening for. And so these detectors are all over North America, all over
the world,
Europe, Australia. Yeah. There's some parts of the world, like I don't think there's any in or many in like Africa or places like that. But East Asia, all these places, and they're sitting there listening to. So like right now, as we're recording, there's a bunch of really active thunderstorms down along the Florida Panhandle. There's a bunch in Eastern France. I mean, the Eastern France ones are going good. I wish I was over there watching them. I've been a pretty impressive storm. But you can zoom in depending on which maps you use. And they've got like 3 different maps you can use on the website. They've got one which is basically a Google map or OpenStreetMap. And so you can zoom in where you're at and see what thunderstorms are around you. What brought this to my attention is a couple of weeks ago, we had a thunderstorm where there was a lightning strike about a half mile outside of town. I mean, it was one of those where it's just like flash crack, I mean, it was that quick, and so it's fun to sit and watch, watch the storms move in and watch where the lightning strikes are. And as I said, this is an open source project. You can buy the equipment and contribute to it. Now, there happens to be a couple of these detectors actually up in Great Falls, which is only about 25 miles from me. So I'm not going to worry about it. But but it uses triangulation, basically. Multiple detectors pick it up. They collaborate through GPS and it all works together. And so it's really cool. You can also get apps. These are unofficial apps, but they use the data. And then you can have it on your phone. And the one app I've got for Android, it can do notifications if there's lightning within so many kilometers or miles of your location.
Wow.
So, you could have early warning. Now, of course, they say on the website, don't rely on this for protection of people or equipment. But still, to have that notification of lightning within 10 miles.
Yeah.
Get to shelter. Boy Scouts would say, get to shelter now.
This is
and so, cool. And same thing with sports, events and stuff like that. If you find out there's a storm close by, so it's fun to watch. And again, it's something that's one of those you're outdoors of summer. It's a good thing to have on your phone just in case.
Cool. I like it.
It really is cool.
Just watching the lightning strikes, like you mentioned, in Eastern France right now, is crazy.
I mean, it's mesmerizing. You can zoom in on the one on the live map. It's map.blitzortung.org.
Yeah.
And you can zoom in and just watch it pop, 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 pop.
Yeah. So what you'll see is that they stay on the screen for a certain amount on the map for a certain amount of time after they've struck, just to kind of give you an idea of where they are. And then the real time ones are there's a circle that expands for a second. So it pops. So what you're getting is like historical data for the last 2 hours and then real time shots right now. And that's really cool. I like it. I love this use of open source data, crowdsourced data for such purposes. It's really neat.
And like I said, if you want to know more how it works, you can go to that website and it talks about something about how to contribute or something like that. And you click that link and it's a PDF that you could spend an hour geeking out on the science of it, the technology of it. It's very in depth. It's really cool.
Cool. So my pick this week is kind of fun. it's not a productivity thing. It's just a kind of a fun extra thing. So a while ago, I think it was even a pick of the week for me once. I bought one of those clicky keyboards, from WASD, WASD keyboards. But this applies to any third-party keyboard out there. You can do this. I bought a set of replacement keycaps. Partly because I am tough on my keyboards. I wear out the printing on the keys, especially like the S and the E and the I don't know. I'm a hard typer, I guess, and so I'm always having to replace these. And so I decided to check it out. And I just went to this one. The place I got my keyboard from. You can do these from other places, and I got custom keycaps, different colors, and you can mix and match colors. They sell sets that have like a rainbow across it, or certain designs that you can get like a Marvel keycap replacements where you have the different Marvel characters on the keys, and all kinds of stuff from the sublime to the silly. And I ended up getting a set of keycaps that are red and green. Like a sort of a khaki green and a orangish red. Basically, I got a Boba Fett theme. This was about when the book of Boba Fett was coming out on Disney Plus, and it's a lot of fun. It's not cheap, but if I have to replace the keycaps anyway, which I end up doing because I like I said, I wear them out. I might as well get something that's fun and interesting, and it looks good. But you can get, a really nice set of, white keycaps if you want to go back to the old IBM PC early days, or even the early Mac days where they had white keycaps, or just various kinds. And from a productivity standpoint, if you are someone who spends all day long in, say, like Adobe Premiere, Adobe Photoshop, or one of these other apps, you can get keycaps that have the commands on it. So, pressing M in Adobe Premiere does something. I forget now, but there's one keycap that splits the timeline, and there's another one. And if I hit Shift, it does this. And you can get keycaps that have all the information on them, nice. So that it's all right there literally at your fingertips. So this one is at wasdkeyboards.com. There was another one I saw recently, drop.com. is a third party. They sell keyboards, but they also sell keycaps, and they had some since the new Amazon Lord of the Rings series is coming up, the Rings of Power. They actually sell an Elvish set, so maybe you want to figure if you're a real Tolkien geek, you can get that and check it out. So think about keycaps.
I'm surprised you didn't get the Mandalore Legend one.
They didn't have it at the time. Where you're looking on the WASD keyboards?
It's only. Yeah, on the WASD keyboard, but it's only an 88 key set. It's for more like a laptop sized keyboard than a. Yeah,
I'm a full 104 key keyboard guy kind of guy, but I didn't know they had that at the time, so I'll have to take a look.
They have it now. Hopefully, they'll come out with the 104, 105 key set.
Maybe if I ask
some point,
nicely.
So you can get that.
Yeah. Wow, they have Game of Thrones. You've got to be kidding.
Of course.
Oh yeah, like I said, they have a lot of these licensed materials. I think I saw a Star Wars one on drop.com. So it is it's a lot of it's a way to personalize your stuff. That's one of the things people do a lot now. We get personalized phone cases, personalized, we put stickers on our laptop cases, and this is another way of sort of personalizing what can be a very generic sort of thing. So
nice.
Check it out. All right, that should do it for us this time. You can, we'd love to hear from you and get your questions, your tips, your responses to anything we've discussed. You can do that by commenting on the show at sqpn.com/technology, or the StarQuest Facebook page, facebook.com/StarQuestMedia. You can send an email to technology@sqpn.com, or visit the StarQuest Discord community at sqpn.com/Discord. You'll find links from our discussion and our picks of the week on our show notes at sqpn.com. Be sure to follow The Secrets of Tech in Apple Podcasts or Google Podcasts. We're on Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, your favorite podcast app, and also at the StarQuest YouTube channel, where you should make sure to hit the bell to get notifications. We'd like to thank James for his research assistance in this episode. And until next time, Father Corey Stika, thank you for joining me and sharing the secrets of technology.
Thank you, Dom.
Joanne Mercier, thank you as well.
Thanks, Dom.
And once again, I'm Dom Bettinelli. Thank you for listening to the Secrets of Technology on StarQuest, and stay cool, everyone.